Our local business leaders have some recommendations for state government that we'd like to share with you.
What labor and industry needs to do is to get serious about workers' compensation reform in the state. Claims management is out of control. The numbers of long-term pensions being issued to injured workers, it's not sustainable, and the state fund is in risk of going out of business. I would urge them to look at claims management, at reform, as well as soon as possible, look at opening up the state to allowing private competition, the same as exists in 46 other states in the country. That's something they can do that's positive for Washington business and is positive for the state and their revenues as well.
There's really only three areas that all of us generally are concerned with. We want to make sure that education is well funded, well taken care of, K through 12 for everyone. We want infrastructure to be taken care of. Highways, roads, potholes, everybody understands that, and we all want safety and security, police, fire, etc. We know the list. Those three buckets have an element of being sacred. They should focus first on those and all the other areas that the state gets involved in. Whether it's taxation of soda pop and trying to manage the dietary input of people at grade school and high school, all of those issues should be put aside for the moment, focus on those core elements, manage them as tightly as they can, and never allow the state budget to grow at a rate faster than the increase of population, along with the increase of the natural growth of the state.
In terms of growing the economy, I think making the state a more business-friendly state, and I know there are all kinds of debates. The state says, oh, we're more friendly than somebody else, but the reality is our tenants tell us this is the most expensive state in the nation in which they do business with respect to things like unemployment insurance, labor and industries coverage, general business taxation, and the cost of regulation is at the very peak as well. We have some of the toughest environmental laws in the nation. Many of those are appropriate, but a tremendous amount of that regulation is absolutely ineffective and wasteful. It costs a tremendous amount of money and productivity. It's a disincentive for businesses to locate here. So what I would advise is that they take a careful look at what the competition is doing, figure out what regulations we have on our books that for whatever reason people are able to live just fine with and get rid of, and look at what costs we have, what burdens are particularly distasteful to job creation that would make it possible not only for us to attract businesses to this community, but to retain the businesses that we have.
I would tell a business, go back 5 years ago. What were you doing then? Identify all the increased costs you've had in the last 5 years and really look hard at those. Do you need them?
There needs to be more open competition within the state. A monopolistic environment with the state being involved in business that business should be only involved in does not work on a long-term basis. It stifles innovation, it stifles creativity, and at the end of the day, the loser is the workers in Washington and the businesses.
A lot of the focus is on expanding access, which is outstanding. However, the majority of costs in the healthcare system are on the claims side. 70, 80+% are on the claims side. There doesn't seem to be a lot of dialogue going on what can be done to reduce that. The other piece is coming up with a sustainable model that's not based on federal funds to subsidize the cost, actually reducing the cost not with an offset, but by a true reduction in the claims costs.
There's a lot of opportunity within our state to privatize certain sections of our state government. One example of that, and we work and are heavily regulated by the Department of License. The Department of License in this state is terribly inefficient. One of the things that has happened in other states around the country is there has been successful privatization of either a DMV or a DOL in other states. And that's something that would be, I think, really beneficial to our state, and it would extremely reduce some of the regulation cost for us as businesses.
Our executive brought a lot of managers into a room one day and said, I need you guys to find $1 million in cost reductions before you leave the room. We found it. As a group, we found it. You know, maybe I gave 100,000, maybe you found 100,000. We compromised and we found that $1 million. So you have to do these things or you can't survive.
If we all got together, we could go over it line by line, and we don't have to cut services. We have to cut our spending and cut costs and get real about it.
And forget the politics. You know, in business, we don't fight. I don't know if you're a Democrat or Republican. It doesn't matter. We have the same problem to solve, and that's a company that's losing money. We don't get into the politics. We get into how do we solve that issue on a compromising basis.